Greetings, fellow cosmic travelers and curious minds. Tonight, as the world outside finds its rhythm, or perhaps as you journey through your own tasks, let us embark on another exploration into the subtle, yet profound, mechanisms that weave life across our planet. We often think of plants as rooted, immobile, serene. But what if I told you they are, in fact, silent architects of dispersion, unwitting vessels carrying entire ecosystems across vast distances? Tonight, we delve into the intricate dance of phytochory, a phenomenon where the plant kingdom acts as a hidden highway, transporting animal life, often without us ever noticing. Prepare to uncover the astonishing journeys of creatures hitchhiking on leaves, drifting on oceanic rafts, or even traveling in the belly of a fruit. If you find this journey as fascinating as I do, please consider giving us a like, sharing your thoughts in the comments, and sharing this narration with others who might find solace and wonder in its depths. Now, dim the lights, settle in, and let's begin our exploration. Greetings, aspiring minds, and welcome back to Vibing Science. Tonight, we embark on a fascinating journey, delving into one of nature's subtle, yet profoundly impactful mechanisms of life's distribution. Prepare to have your understanding of how life moves across our planet, or rather, how it is moved, gently reshaped. Settle in, perhaps dim the lights, and let the quiet hum of discovery lull you into a state of focused contemplation. Our subject tonight is phytochory. It's a term you might not encounter in everyday conversation, yet its influence permeates ecosystems from the deepest oceans to the highest mountains. Phytochory, at its core, describes the animal transportation and dispersal where plants, either as a whole or in parts, play a direct and crucial role. Imagine a silent, intricate ballet where the botanical world provides the stage, the props, and even the vehicles for the animal kingdom's migrations. Now, you might immediately think of a bird carrying a seed, or an animal consuming a fruit and later dispersing its contents. And while those are indeed vital processes classified as zoochory, phytochory presents a distinct, often overlooked dynamic. Here, the plant itself, with its inherent limited mobility, takes on a passive yet indispensable role in the active dispersal of animals, viruses, and even microorganisms. Without this involvement, the journeys of thousands of species, from the minuscule to the surprisingly robust, would simply be impossible, or at the very least, extraordinarily difficult. Let's clarify what distinguishes phytochory from other forms of interaction. For an event to be considered an example of phytochory, two primary conditions must be met. First, there needs to be a direct physical contact between animals and plants, sustained over an extended period. This isn't just a fleeting visit, like a bee quickly pollinating a flower on a free-floating plant. No, this is a more intimate and prolonged association, where the plant isn't merely a temporary stop, but rather a temporary home or even a mode of transport. Secondly, the plant's substrata acting as these phoretic agents must remain largely unchanged in their composition and structure. This is an important distinction. We're not talking about processed wood, like lumber or plywood, or advanced products such as flour or viscose. Those are human-altered materials. Phytochory refers to natural plant forms, allowing us to observe the unadulterated ecological relationships between organisms and their botanical environment. The lines between different phoretic relationships can sometimes appear blurred, creating a fascinating tapestry of interconnectedness. Consider the feces of frugivorous vertebrates. Within these, you might find plant remains and, occasionally, seeds containing live invertebrates. Here, we observe an intricate overlap: the plant-vertebrate interaction of zoochory, the vertebrate seminivorous insect relationship of phoracy, and, crucially, the plant-seminivorous invertebrate relationship that defines phytochory. Each thread is distinct, yet interwoven into the grand fabric of ecological dispersal. The very word phytochory itself is a testament to the expansion of our scientific understanding. It was originally coined to describe the displacement of viruses by plants, drawing from the Greek words phyton, meaning plant, and choreo, meaning to distribute or to disperse. Over time, as our observations grew more sophisticated, this term found its way into common biological dictionaries. Its meaning expanded to encompass the broader phenomenon of animal dispersal facilitated by plants. It's a beautiful example of how language evolves alongside our knowledge, providing ever more precise tools to describe the natural world. Now, let us delve into the main types of phytochory, each revealing a unique chapter in this silent saga of dispersal. One of the most compelling and easily visualized forms is biological rafting. Picture this: vast, tangled mats of macrophytes, clumps of algae, driftwood, or even individual leaves and fruits, all adrift on the endless currents and waves of our oceans and waterways. These natural flotillas become veritable islands of transport for countless animals. Extensive research into these drifting plant materials has unveiled a staggering diversity of life. More than 1,200 animal species have been identified on the surface and within these floating substrata. A perfect example of an aquatic raft is the water hyacinth, a plant often considered an invasive species in many parts of the world, yet a vibrant ecosystem in miniature. On its floating islands, over 150 species have been found, from unicellular organisms, crustaceans, and insects to centipedes, spiders, mollusks, flatworms, eelworms, and even birds. This complex assemblage forms surprisingly stable ecological communities on larger rafts, encompassing herbivores, predators, parasites, and parasitoids, all coexisting and journeying together across vast stretches of water. Imagine the sheer scale of these silent migrations, driven by currents and tides, carrying entire microcosms to new shores. But not all phytochory is confined to the water. Another significant pathway for plant-assisted dispersal is found in the windswept landscapes of our planet. Air currents, as we know, are a powerful force in dispersing plant seeds and spores. But they also play a crucial role for certain invertebrates living within above-ground plant organs. These creatures essentially hitch a ride, using the plant as both shelter and transport. Consider the remarkable case of the sea kale weevil, Lixus canescens. The entire development cycle, from egg to adult, takes place inside the stem of the sea kale tumbleweed. As summer wanes and autumn arrives, the stem dries out, detaches from its root, and begins to roll across the landscape, propelled by the relentless force of the wind. Inside, shielded from the elements, the pupae and eventually the adult weevils complete their development. By the time they emerge, the adults may have traveled as far as 1.5 kilometers from their original starting point, all thanks to their botanical vehicle. Similarly, gall midges in arid regions utilize dry fruits to disperse, the fruit providing not only transport, but also vital protection from the searing desert heat. These are not merely passive passengers. They are integral parts of a system that has evolved to leverage the plant's inherent characteristics for their own propagation. Beyond the wind and waves, we find another fascinating aspect of phytochory tied directly to the habits of vertebrate dispersers. Many vertebrate species are frugivorous. They consume fruits, often containing live invertebrates inside, particularly within the seeds. This creates what we call a tritrophic mutualistic assemblage, a three-way partnership that benefits all involved, or at least provides a means of dispersal. Take, for instance, the larvae of certain weevils that develop inside the seeds of the queen palm. The ripe, sweet pulp of these fruits is an irresistible attractant for a wide array of birds and mammals. Thrushes, toucans, jays, possums, squirrels, tapirs, and many others. When these animals consume the fruit, they either regurgitate the robust pits or, more commonly, excrete the undigested pits during defecation. Crucially, the endobionts, the larvae living inside, possess a remarkable resistance to the digestive processes of their vertebrate hosts. Once deposited, the larva can then gnaw its way out of the seed and burrow into the soil to pupate, having been transported a considerable distance from its origin. In this scenario, the vertebrates become vital vectors, not just for the plant seeds they disperse, but also for the phytochorial invertebrates hidden within them. Of course, phytochorial interactions are not limited to these specific scenarios. They can manifest in various other ways. Animals might store fruits or seeds, as mice, rats, squirrels, chipmunks, corvids, and nutcrackers are known to do, inadvertently transporting the plant material and any associated invertebrates. They might interact with the diaspores, the dispersal units, of autochores, plants that self-disperse, and zoochores, plants dispersed by animals. Or, quite simply, they might build their nests or shelters using plant material, thereby transporting the associated fauna. The possibilities are as diverse as the ecosystems themselves. And then we arrive at a chapter in Phytochory that touches every corner of our modern world: the influence of human activities. Phytochory experiences a dramatic acceleration when plants or plant products are intentionally or accidentally displaced by human action. This includes everything from seedlings and ornamental species to fruits, vegetables, and seeds, as well as logs, bark, hay, and straw. It also extends to various raw materials used in medicine, food production, and perfumery. Naturally, these activities promote the dispersal of animals associated with these plants, often with far-reaching environmental consequences, both positive and negative. This particular form of phytochory, driven by human movement, has surprisingly deep roots in our history. Underwater archaeologists, for instance, discovered a sunken merchant ship off the coast of southern Turkey that dates back an astonishing 3,300 years. Much of its cargo hold was packed with massive copper ingots. But beneath these heavy ingots, archaeologists found 22 land snail shells and remnants of spiny branches from bushes. It appears the plant material was used to cushion the weighty cargo, protecting the ship's wooden planks from damage. And it seems highly probable that those snails came aboard the ship along with the branches, unwitting stowaways on an ancient voyage. This suggests that accidental transportation of animals via plants has been a part of human history for millennia. However, modern human technologies have dramatically amplified this phenomenon, allowing phytochores to traverse vast distances rapidly and expand their ranges drastically. Consider the case of the longhorn beetle, Emona hirta. In the year 2000, numerous records of this beetle, previously known only as an endemic species of New Zealand, were registered in Great Britain. The primary culprit? The global plant trade. In Great Britain, the trade in ornamental plants alone is responsible for nearly 90% of human-assisted introductions of invertebrate species, whether through timber imports, intentional releases, or as transport stowaways. This underscores the profound impact our interconnected world has on the silent highways of phytochory, reshaping biodiversity at an unprecedented pace. The biological significance of phytochory in an animal's life is multifaceted. Similar to other forms of dispersal, it facilitates gene flow, enriching the genetic diversity of populations and strengthening their resilience. Phytochores gain additional means to extend their species range, effectively leveraging the adaptations of plants to conserve their own energy and material resources, much like foracy or zoochory. For wingless, slow-moving, or sedentary species, phytochory offers a crucial second chance at dispersal, opening up new territories and opportunities for survival. However, this opportunity comes with potential risks. Increased mortality can occur in unfamiliar new habitats, or reproductive failure if the conditions are unsuitable. Living on a raft or within a rolling tumbleweed presents an unstable substrate, often with heightened competition for food and space. So, while phytochory opens doors, it also presents challenges, a dynamic balance inherent in all natural processes. The advanced study of phytochory holds significant promise for progress in at least 4 critical areas. Firstly, in conservation of biodiversity, understanding phytochory is vital for establishing and managing marine and aquatic reserves, especially when some phytochores are identified as having negative environmental impacts, such as invasive species. Secondly, in biological control and pest management, detailed knowledge of phytochorial relationships allows us to predict the effects of biological pest control programs and to refine farm management practices, helping us to protect crops and natural ecosystems more effectively. Thirdly, in public and veterinary health, medicine and veterinary science require information about insects, worms, mollusks, and parasitic unicellular organisms linked with free-floating macrophytes. Understanding their role in causing or carrying diseases is crucial for public health initiatives and preventing the spread of pathogens. And finally, in ecosystem management for forest, gardening, and aquatic ecological restoration. By comprehending how plants facilitate animal dispersal, we can develop more informed and effective strategies for restoring damaged ecosystems, reintroducing species, and fostering healthy, resilient environments. Phytochory is not just a biological curiosity. It is a fundamental process, often invisible to the casual observer, yet absolutely critical to the intricate web of life on Earth. It reminds us that even the most seemingly passive elements of an ecosystem are active participants in the grand dance of dispersal, shaping the distribution of species and the very fabric of biodiversity. As we continue to unravel these hidden highways, we gain a deeper appreciation for the complex, interconnected beauty of our planet. Join me next time as we dive deeper into the specific mechanisms of biological rafting, exploring the ancient journeys undertaken by these remarkable biological vessels. Until then, keep wondering, keep learning, and let the quiet currents of knowledge carry you forward. Good night. As we delve deeper into the fascinating world of Phytochory, we encounter some of the most ancient and truly remarkable journeys undertaken by life on Earth, the voyages of biological rafts. Imagine, for a moment, the vast, restless expanse of the ocean, a canvas of ever-shifting currents and formidable waves. Within this immense liquid landscape, life finds a way to travel, to conquer new territories, to persist against all odds. Biological rafts are not merely passive debris. They are vibrant, temporary ecosystems constructed from the very fabric of the plant world. Picture tangled masses of macrophytes and algae, driftwood bleached by the sun, individual leaves, or even ripe fruits, all caught in the relentless embrace of ocean currents and the rhythmic push and pull of the waves. These unassuming plant structures become vessels, a kind of spontaneous, organic transportation system for countless animals. Extensive and meticulous research into these drifting plant materials has unveiled a staggering truth. More than 1,200 different animal species have been identified on the surface of, or indeed, deeply embedded within these floating substrata. Think of the water hyacinth, a species often regarded with a mixture of awe and concern due to its rapid proliferation. Yet, for all its ecological complexities, it serves as a powerful example of an aquatic raft in action. On these floating islands of water hyacinth, an astounding diversity of over 150 species can thrive. We're talking about a microscopic world of unicellular organisms, the scuttling forms of crustaceans, the intricate dance of insects, the slow creep of centipedes, the silent predatory movements of spiders, the soft-bodied mollusks, the unseen flatworms and eelworms, and yes, even certain birds find refuge and sustenance on these living mats. This complex tapestry of life isn't just a random assortment of hitchhikers. It forms surprisingly stable ecological communities on larger rafts. You'll find herbivores diligently grazing, predators patiently stalking their prey, and the silent, intricate dance of parasites and parasitoids, all coexisting and interacting within the confines of their temporary, waterborne home. These rafts are not just carriers. They are microcosms, entire worlds adrift, demonstrating life's profound adaptability and its ingenious methods of dispersal. Consider the sheer scale of these journeys. A small cluster of seaweed, torn from its coastal mooring by a storm, begins an odyssey across open water. Within its fronds, a tiny crab might cling, or the larvae of a particular insect might be nestled. As days turn into weeks, and weeks into months, the raft slowly navigates the ocean's currents, potentially traversing hundreds or even thousands of miles. The fate of its passengers is entirely bound to this botanical vessel. If it eventually washes ashore on a distant landmass, a new population might be established, a new gene pool introduced, altering the ecological landscape of that new territory forever. This ancient mode of transport has played a pivotal role in shaping biogeography, influencing the distribution of species across continents and islands. For species with limited mobility, particularly those without wings or the capacity for long-distance swimming, these biological rafts offer a lifeline, a chance to overcome geographical barriers that would otherwise be insurmountable. Imagine a land snail, for instance, accidentally caught up in a tangle of floating debris. Its journey might be slow, fraught with peril, but it offers a rare opportunity for dispersal to an entirely new habitat, far from its ancestral home. The concept of biological rafting also sheds light on some of the most enduring mysteries in evolutionary biology, such as how certain species, particularly reptiles, amphibians, and invertebrates, manage to colonize remote oceanic islands. Before the advent of human navigation, these islands were effectively isolated fortresses. Yet, their ecosystems often boast unique and endemic species whose ancestors must have arrived from distant landmasses. Biological rafts provide a compelling explanation for these otherwise inexplicable migrations. A pregnant lizard, an insect colony nestled within a rotting log, or even the eggs of a snail, all could theoretically survive a transoceanic journey, given the right conditions and a benevolent raft. These journeys are not without their risks, of course. The vastness of the ocean is a formidable opponent. Rafts can break apart, exposing their passengers to the harsh elements or to opportunistic predators. Food and fresh water might become scarce. The destination itself might prove inhospitable, leading to the demise of the intrepid travelers. Yet, the very fact that these migrations continue to occur and have occurred for millions of years speaks to the immense evolutionary pressure for dispersal and the remarkable resilience of life. The sight of a vast mat of sargassum weed in the Atlantic, forming expansive golden tides, is another example of a living raft. These floating masses are not just homes. They are entire ecosystems supporting a diverse community of fish, crabs, and other marine life, some of which are entirely dependent on the sargassum for survival. As these mats drift, they carry their unique biological cargo, extending their influence across oceanic gyres and into new regions. The story of biological rafting is a testament to the elegant, often overlooked ingenuity of nature. It's a narrative woven into the very fabric of our planet's history, reminding us that life is ceaselessly dynamic, perpetually seeking new horizons, and often using the most unexpected means to achieve its boundless spread. It's a quiet, persistent hum beneath the roar of the waves, a silent testament to the ancient journeys of ocean drifters, shaping the biodiversity of our world, one floating island at a time. As we drift through the intricate world of Phytochory, where the plant kingdom inadvertently becomes the silent conductor of life's grand symphony, we turn our attention to the invisible currents that carry life across vast distances. We've seen how rafts of vegetation become floating islands, miniature ecosystems navigating the open ocean. But beyond the waves, another powerful force shapes the dispersal of countless species: the wind. Imagine the humble tumbleweed, a symbol of arid landscapes, rolling across sun-baked plains. This seemingly simple act of dispersal, driven by the ceaseless breath of the wind, holds within it a fascinating secret of Phytochory. Take, for instance, the sea-kale weevil, Lixus canescens. For this remarkable insect, the stem of the sea-kale tumbleweed is more than just a host plant. It's a cradle and a vessel. From egg to adult, the weevil develops within the protective confines of the stem. As summer wanes and autumn arrives, the sea-kale stem, now dry and brittle, detaches from its roots. The wind then takes over, sending this botanical sphere tumbling across the landscape, sometimes for over a mile. Inside, protected from the elements, the pupae complete their transformation into adult weevils, emerging at their new, wind-delivered destination. It's a perfect example of passive dispersal, where the plant's own adaptation for spreading its seeds becomes a vehicle for another species, a journey on the wings of the wind, without a single flap from the insect itself. This wind-assisted dispersal isn't unique to weevils. Gall midges, those tiny, often unnoticed insects, employ a similar strategy in harsh desert environments. They shelter within dry fruits, carried by the wind, the plant's desiccated husk providing a shield against the scorching heat of the desert. The plant structure, in its very act of drying and detaching, becomes an essential component of the insect's life cycle and survival strategy. But wind doesn't just move entire plants or their dried remains. It also interacts with the more active participants in our narrative, the winged creatures that flutter and soar. Birds, with their incredible migratory journeys, are well-known dispersers of seeds, a process called zoochory. However, their role in phytochory often takes a more subtle, yet equally profound form. Consider the vibrant tapestry of a tropical forest, where the air hums with the calls of countless frugivorous birds and mammals. These creatures consume ripe, sweet fruits, their diets often rich in the very seeds that ensure the plant's future. Yet within some of these seeds, an entirely different life form resides. The larvae of insects, typically weevils, diligently feeding and growing. This creates a fascinating triple alliance: the plant, the fruit-eating vertebrate, and the seed-dwelling invertebrate. Take the queen palm, for example. Its succulent, ripe fruits are a feast for a diverse array of animals: thrushes, toucans, jays, possums, squirrels, and even tapirs. As these vertebrates consume the pulp, they unwittingly become carriers for the weevil larvae nestled within the seeds. Many of these pits are robust enough to resist digestion, passing through the animal's digestive tract intact or being regurgitated. The larvae inside, having evolved a remarkable resistance to digestive enzymes, emerge unscathed. Once excreted or dropped, the larva then gnaws its way out of the seed and burrows into the soil to pupate, a new life beginning far from its original point of origin. Here, the vertebrate acts as an unwitting dispersal agent, not just for the plant seeds, but for the phytochorial invertebrates hidden within. It's a multi-layered interaction, where the animal's pursuit of sustenance inadvertently aids in the dispersal of both plant and insect, showcasing the intricate web of dependencies that define ecological systems. But the journey of phytochory isn't always about consuming fruits. Vertebrates can facilitate this dispersal in other, equally important ways. Picture a squirrel or a chipmunk diligently burying acorns or nuts for the winter. Within these stored seeds, if conditions are right, could be a larval insect, a future weevil or beetle, whose dispersal is now entirely reliant on the forgotten cache of a furry hoarder. The plant material, the seed itself, becomes the inert vehicle carried and forgotten, leading to an entirely new point of establishment. Similarly, birds building their nests or rodents constructing their shelters often incorporate plant material. A twig, a leaf, a piece of bark, each could potentially harbor a small insect, an egg, or even a dormant larva. As these nests and shelters are built, moved, or abandoned, the plant material and its tiny inhabitants are carried to new locations. This is phytochory in its most incidental form, yet profoundly impactful, demonstrating how the everyday activities of animals can inadvertently orchestrate the movement of smaller, plant-dependent life forms. These natural vectors, wind, and the varied activities of vertebrates, paint a vivid picture of how life finds a way to traverse landscapes, bridging distances and colonizing new territories. They're the ancient highways of life, carved by the forces of nature and the inherent behaviors of countless species. But as we move forward, we will see how humanity, with its insatiable drive for exploration and commerce, has added an entirely new dimension to these natural processes, accelerating phytochory to an unprecedented degree. The ancient, slow dance of natural dispersal has found itself entwined with the rapid pace of human civilization, creating new opportunities and challenges for the hidden highways of life. And now, we arrive at perhaps the most potent force accelerating phytochory in the modern era: ourselves, humanity. For millennia, plants have been silent partners in the slow, persistent wanderings of life. But with the advent of global trade, unprecedented travel, and the reshaping of landscapes, we have inadvertently become super spreaders, creating unseen highways for countless species. Consider for a moment the sheer volume of plant material that moves across our planet every single day. From the delicate ornamental plant destined for a distant conservatory, to the enormous cargo ship laden with timber, or the humble fruit and vegetable transported across continents. Each of these journeys, meticulously planned for human consumption or aesthetic pleasure, carries with it an invisible, intricate web of life. These aren't just plants traveling. They're entire microecosystems in motion. This isn't a new phenomenon, of course. The ancient world, even with its comparatively rudimentary transportation, played its part. Imagine a merchant vessel 3,300 years ago sailing the turquoise waters off the coast of southern Turkey. Underwater archaeologists, in their meticulous excavation of such a wreck, unearthed copper ingots, heavy, valuable cargo. But beneath these ingots, used as cushioning, lay remnants of spiny bush branches. And among those branches, the shells of 22 land snails. These snails, unwitting voyagers, had hitched a ride, a testament to humanity's early, accidental role in phytochory. It's a compelling snapshot, isn't it? A subtle echo from the past, reminding us that our impact, however unintentional, has deep roots. But the scale today is simply astronomical. Modern technology and globalized markets have turned what was once a slow, often localized process into a rapid, planetary-spanning phenomenon. Take the case of the longhorn beetle, Emona hirta. This creature was once known as an endemic species, confined to the unique ecosystems of New Zealand. Then, in the year 2000, a surge of records emerged from Great Britain. How did a beetle from the far side of the world suddenly appear in such numbers? The answer, as investigations revealed, lay in the relentless flow of international plant trade. Ornamental plants, imported for gardens and nurseries, carried these tiny hitchhikers across vast oceans, allowing them to establish a foothold in an entirely new environment. It's a pattern we see repeated countless times. Research in Great Britain alone suggests that plant trade accounts for nearly 90% of all human-assisted introductions of invertebrate species. This includes organisms arriving with ornamental plants, those inadvertently transported in timber imports, or even as stowaways on other forms of transport. We are, in essence, creating a global conveyor belt, allowing species to bypass natural barriers and colonize new territories at an unprecedented pace. The consequences of this accelerated phytochory are, predictably, a mixed bag. On one hand, it can inadvertently introduce beneficial species or enhance biodiversity in certain areas, albeit often in ways that disrupt existing ecological balances. On the other, and far more frequently, it leads to the introduction of invasive species. These non-native organisms can outcompete local flora and fauna, disrupt delicate ecosystems, and even carry diseases that devastate native populations. The brown tree snake on Guam, the emerald ash borer in North America, or the zebra mussel in freshwater systems. These are just a few stark reminders of the ecological havoc that can be wrought when species are suddenly thrust into new environments without their natural predators or controls. This human-driven acceleration of phytochory presents us with profound challenges. It compels us to consider the intricate connections between distant ecosystems and the unseen passengers traveling beneath the radar of our bustling global economy. It calls for stricter biosecurity measures, more thorough inspections of imported plant materials, and a deeper understanding of the ecological risks associated with our interconnected world. From a biological standpoint, phytochory offers a unique advantage to many species. Imagine being wingless, or slow-moving, or even entirely sedentary, and suddenly being offered a ride across an ocean or a continent. It's a second chance at dispersal, a shortcut to new habitats, new resources, and new genetic mingling that would otherwise be impossible. It facilitates gene flow, enriching the gene pool of populations and enhancing their resilience. Animals can conserve their own energy, their own material resources, by simply allowing a plant to do the heavy lifting, much like other forms of forestry or zoochory. But this ease of travel comes with inherent risks. A new habitat is, by definition, unfamiliar. Increased mortality rates are common as species struggle to adapt to different climates, new predators, or a scarcity of suitable food. Reproductive failure can be a tragic outcome for colonizers who find themselves unable to thrive in their new surroundings. And on those biological rafts, whether a floating island of water hyacinth or a timber-laden ship, competition for food and space can be intense, adding another layer of challenge to an already precarious journey. The implications of phytochory extend far beyond academic curiosity. Its study holds practical significance in at least 4 critical areas. Firstly, in the conservation of biodiversity. Understanding how phytochores move allows us to establish and protect vital sea and aquatic reserves, and to anticipate and mitigate the negative impacts of invasive species that travel via plant material. Secondly, in the realm of biological control and pest management. By tracking the dispersal pathways of pests associated with plants, we can develop more effective strategies for controlling agricultural threats and protecting our food supplies. Predicting the effects of biological pest control programs becomes more precise when we account for these hidden movements. Thirdly, it impacts public and veterinary health. Many insects, worms, mollusks, and parasitic single-celled organisms linked with plants can act as vectors for diseases. Free-floating macrophytes, for example, can harbor a complex array of life, some of which are disease carriers. Understanding these linkages is crucial for monitoring and preventing the spread of illnesses. And finally, phytochory plays a role in ecosystem management, particularly in forest, gardening, and aquatic ecological restoration. When we reintroduce plants or manage existing ecosystems, recognizing the potential for associated animal dispersal helps us create more resilient and balanced environments. So, from the humble snail catching a ride on ancient branches to the longhorn beetle crossing oceans on commercial timber, phytochory, both natural and human-accelerated, reveals a universe far more interconnected than we often perceive. It's a testament to the persistent, often unseen, ways in which life navigates our planet, and a powerful reminder of our own profound and often unwitting influence on these intricate dance steps of dispersal. And so, our voyage through the hidden world of phytochory concludes. From the ancient currents carrying biological rafts across vast oceans, to the intricate partnerships between plants and animals, and finally, to humanity's profound, often accidental, influence on these dispersal pathways, we've witnessed the quiet ingenuity of life. It's a reminder that even the most seemingly static elements of nature are part of a dynamic, interconnected web, constantly facilitating the spread of life in ways we are only just beginning to fully appreciate. Thank you for joining me on this deep dive into one of nature's most fascinating, yet often overlooked, processes. If this journey through phytochory has sparked your curiosity, please consider liking this video, sharing your reflections in the comments below, and following for more explorations into the wonders of our universe. What did you find most surprising tonight? And what other scientific mysteries would you like us to unravel together in future narrations? Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep vibing with science.